coronavirus is essentially World War III. So how do we look at life after coronavirus? One is, can we go back to what it was? Or two, we create a whole new world. Right now, thinking is how quickly we can go back to what it was. The standard question is, how do I create jobs? How do I bring investments? All the standard stuff. Okay, which is fine, because that's all people can think of. But the real challenge is to think completely outside the box and say, what kind of a world I really want after this? Do I really want a world where we focus on only consumption and destroy our environment? Do I want a world where I'm not going to burn any more coal? I'm going to create alternate energy? Do I want a world where education doesn't cost $100,000 a year tuition? Do I want a world where health is guaranteed to everybody? Do I want to create a world where rather than consumption, we focus on conservation? These are very complex issues. So I think we need to take baby steps. First baby step is, how do we get everybody feel comfortable? That doesn't mean you'll get to a point where everybody will have a job. So you got to make everybody feel comfortable. And that can only happen if states intervene and guarantee certain minimum income to everybody. So first and foremost task ahead of us is to make our people feel comfortable, that you will have enough to eat, there will be security, safety, food, shelter, while we are going to work on building new world. So we need to think of complete transformation of education, health, of economy, of the idea of job. Job doesn't mean 40 hours a week. See, the beauty of it, one, it democratizes everything. Two, it decentralizes everything. It gives me power in democracy. It gives me information, but it also gives me power. So one, it democratizes information. Two, it decentralizes. And three, it demonetizes. So how do we create new models for everything we do, knowing clearly as to what is important and what is not important? So to me, the most important thing is environment. Opportunities in environment. Clean air, better forest, clean water, handling of garbage. That whole area of global warming, alternate energy, all that is one big opportunity. Second big opportunity is education. Kerala could be the hub of global education. Forget about Indian education. Kerala could be a hub of global health. You are blessed with great weather. You are blessed with great forest and trees and environment. You are also blessed with lot of talent, huge diaspora, great ocean front. You have everything going for you, except the mindset.
Except the
mindset.
Okay. Yeah.
We are locked up in certain mindset. Kerala is also a great example of diversity. Kerala is a great example of, secularism. Okay, I admire Kerala in many ways, but I have never had a chance to really express it in this way. How do we make Kerala a focal point of transformation? And we need to demonetize a lot of things. Telecom has already been demonetized. You and I can conduct video conference at zero cost. Can we demonetize health? Can we demonetize education? If we begin to do that and use technology to produce more food, reduce cost of food, then you don't need to work 40 hours a week to live a reasonable life. Kerala has some great industries on clothing. There's some great textile and
Traditional and all that, yes.
all that.
Handloom and things like that.
Exactly. So that's one industry to build. Using new technology, using new tools, whether it is 3D printer or better graphics or better design or global market for luxury goods, all that is a huge global opportunity. Second industry would be food, whether it's Kerala's coconut or Kerala's fruits or Kerala's whatever. Can we really look at the entire food chain? Start from cultivation, not with chemical fertilizers, with biofertilizers, not by using modern technology as people call technology, but going back to basics, focusing on local genetic pool, local cow, local dung, zero cost farming, because there is so much food value in the local genetic pool. The third area would be health, and we can work out the entire health architecture. Right from eating right, exercising, understanding yourself, controlling your weight, to using herbal medicine, to all the way to modern surgery. Idea is not to build a 5-star hospital. Idea is to create a wellness
culture.
And that doesn't mean only yoga and massage. Okay. See, we tend to just take one and go vertical and close everything else. You got to look at the entire value chain. Fourth, I would look at education. Fifth, I would look at your ocean front, whether it is creating better ports or fishery or mining the ocean, generating energy. All of that is very critical for Kerala. Then environment, waste management. Why should Kerala have so much waste? There's no reason for Kerala to have that kind of waste. Look at lakes are polluted. Everything is just bad. It's a huge opportunity. It's a huge industry. A lot can be done in Kerala. If you just focus on these 6-7 things, enough work cut out for next 20 years. And today, world is focused on top-down development. Okay, there's a big plant and everything will happen. Okay, so Chinese succeeded in it because Chinese could use their political system. You see, today people write all kinds of Harvard Business Review articles on management style in Silicon Valley. We did that in early 80s, 40 years ago. See, we started technology mission 40 years ago because we realized that these things will not be possible in the existing governmental organizational architecture. So CDAC was an architectural change in organization. Autonomy, flexibility, freedom, all that has to be part of the organizational architecture if you want to execute. United Nations wrote a very interesting report on Indians' technology mission. Nobody has read it. Even Indians have not read it. I have a copy of it, which talks about the great idea of mission mode approach to get things done. but it is frightening to the existing system. You can do it yourself. You can do it either the communist government, non-communist government, Congress government, BJP government. Don't make a difference. But do you have people who believe in this idea? You have people who understand intellectually. 40 years ago, when there was no mindset for privatization, deregulation, all that, had to do with three things. One, political will. Rajiv Gandhi had political will to say, I'm going to get this done. I'm behind it. I support it. I like it. I want to do it. You need political will from the government, state government saying, yes, I want to be helping people, clothing industry. I want to help people in food industry. I want to help people in health industry, education industry, whatever. Then you got to create domain experts. Find one or two or three champions who really understand the subject, who are good leaders, who have no vested interest at heart. And then you got to find a lot of young talent. Do it. That's the difference in organizational architecture. You know, immunization mission. How did we eradicate polio today? No one understands. Polio got eradicated because Rajiv Gandhi and I had a meeting and we said, India has the largest number of polio patients and we do not make our own vaccine. He said, is that so? I said, yeah, I didn't know that. He said, why don't we make our own vaccine? So we called a meeting of 50, 60 doctors in India, including Dr. Jacob Jones from Vellore. And we said, what do we take to make vaccine? Everybody said it can't be done. Except few people who believed in the idea. So finally we said, we'll make vaccine, it'll cost us 300 crores. In those days, Rajiv Gandhi said, fine, needed political will. Immediately, I talked to Jairam. I said, Jairam, let's send a person to Soviet Union, send a person to France, Mario, and start negotiations. We started blending vaccine. At that time, India did not make any vaccine in the country. We are the largest producer of vaccine in the world. You might want to do manufacturing in food processing. Let me give you one simple example, tomato. We import close to, I'm told, close to $1 billion worth of ketchup from China. You can check the figures, I may be wrong, but it's huge number. That's because we do not have food processing industry to make ketchup of the kind we need. So we throw tomatoes on the street. Right now, I was talking to Maharashtra. They are throwing onions on the street because nobody's buying onion. So food processing is another big industry that you can get people to come invest. Another industry which we didn't talk about is housing. Construction is a big, big industry. Okay, housing is a huge opportunity and we need to upgrade housing of our people. We can't live with the kind of housing we have. Why should I live for the rest of my life in 150,000 square feet? You know, I want better housing. So can I create entire, supply chain for housing industry? Standard windows, standard wood, standard roof, standard nails, standard toolkit, and encourage people to upgrade their housing. Build better housing, low-cost housing, because that don't require a lot of foreign exchange. It requires a lot of work. Okay, so I would definitely put housing. We need to create a database of people like this, which is reliable, dependable, sustainable. Once you have a database like that, you can begin to harness it. So let's say 100,000 people came back. We need to find out how many are in which field. Can we use some of these on big data analytics for health? Are these education people? Are these construction people? What happens today? They all came and everybody talks about them, but nobody knows who the hell they are, where are they, what are they doing, what is their strength. You can just organize them as a group and they'll find their resources if you empower them. History of Kerala, we should go in as Kerala before coronavirus, Kerala after corona. Whole new world. And to me, this is a model for the world, not just for India. All these guys don't understand it. Guys sitting in the center has no idea. Okay, they are not capable. Pardon me for saying it. Not that we are intelligent. I'm not saying that. But they are prisoner of their own system. So Gandhi taught me truth, trust, love, inclusion, diversity, honesty, ethics. Not rocket science, right? It's common sense. If we do these things, we can rise above and really transform Kerala. And Kerala is a great place to experiment. The best laboratory you can find. To identify for us 100 top people in Kerala. Not inside Kerala, outside Kerala also, but Keralites. Let's identify 10 top in these 8-10 fields I'm talking about. Okay? Let's get those 100 people together and have a video call. One by one on domain experts. I just had Shashi Tharoor was on a call with me. We had 500 people on web. Okay. But Shashi Tharoor can do certain things. But he can't do what we are trying to do. You need that domain expertise. So, if we take Manorama is a great platform. I have had great relationship with them for many, many years in Rajiv Gandhi's time also. And they are a big institution in the country. Okay. And we need to capitalize on it for public good. Okay. So if we use Manorama as a platform and say, look, we are getting domain experts who has interest in Kerala. That doesn't have to be from Kerala. Anybody with interest in Kerala, he is our brother. Okay. And we are putting this domain expertise together. We are all going to have one big conversation. And then we're going to take domain at a time and decide what we want to do. It's a process. It won't require 3 days. It will require a lot more.